The N-rays, a dead end for all times. I got a call from a friend who lives down the street, Dr. James Cook, an anesthesiologist with Emory Hospital. Cook grew up in Berrien Springs, Michigan, along with his friend Gregory Stem, founder and CEO of Odyssey Marine Exploration. Stem needed a favor. Odyssey Marine Exploration was in the habit of finding old shipwrecks that had gone down carrying a lot of gold, and Stem was always on the lookout for new technology that claims to find precious metal at a distance, buried or under a lot of water. A fellow from Florida, to whom I will refer to as Randy, had approached him with a new type of gold finder instrument. Would I take a look at what he claims and make a preliminary evaluation? Be glad to. Send him up to Atlanta. Randy arrived, not with his device, but with a photograph of it and some maps showing found booty. He looked like a walking American Legion post, decked out in a jacket and a hat crowded with Vietnam War patches. We asked him to explain his device. It looked like a metal box about a cubic foot with a parabolic dish antenna on the front, some unlabeled knobs and switches, and a meter on the back. Randy explained that he was in the Navy in the Vietnam conflict, working the radar set on a ship, when he noticed certain signals when the antenna was aimed at far-off metal objects. Using his knowledge of military radar, he had perfected his gold finder using technology that could detect the special, undocumented radiation that is emitted by all matter, concentrating on the specific characteristics of radiations given off by gold and silver. His description of how his instrument worked was vague and mysterious. I concluded that either his device was unprotected by a patent and he feared theft of the design, or that he had no idea how it worked. Claims of performance measures for it ranged all over the map depending on how the question was worded, but I got the impression that this particular model gold finder could locate an 80-ton block of pure gold at a distance of 40 miles. I paused to wonder how he had tested this capability. My immediate impression of the device was not positive. For one thing, the probe in the center of the antenna dish was way too long, far outside the focal point of his parabola, but my opinion was clinched when he described its operation. Not just anyone could use the instrument correctly to find gold or silver. In fact, he was the only one who knew how to turn the knobs and read the subtle movements of the meter, and it was impossible to explain it to anyone else. He had, however, practiced with his children reading the dial, and he was confident that they would soon be able to use the instrument effectively. That was all I needed to hear. He was describing something that in experimental science is called the Hieronymus effect. This term is used to condemn a physical measurement in which a certain sensitivity of a human being is an essential component of the instrumentation. The problem with using the Hieronymus effect is that no two people are exactly alike, and that can result in different outcomes of the same measurement. This complicates the problem of duplicating an experiment and compromises the integrity of results. The dependence on a Hieronymus effect is therefore avoided in any scientific experiment or engineered data collection effort. Your measurement or detection must rely on the objectivity of physical equipment and not on the wishful impressions of a person. Thomas Galen Hieronymus, born in 1895, worked for 25 years as an engineer at the Municipal Power Company in Kansas City, Missouri. Always looking beyond the daily grind at the power company, Hieronymus tinkered constantly with the frontiers of electronics and physics in his home laboratory. He had a theory that life on Earth, particularly chlorophyll plant life, depended on more than sunlight for the growth process. He postulated that there is another, unknown type of radiation from the sun that does not propagate by electromagnetism. He described it as eloptic energy, and in the 1930s he devised several experiments proving its existence. His setups were orderly and scientific. In a totally dark room, several germinating pots were arrayed on a tabletop, each containing an oat seed and a small amount of dampened potting soil. On the bottom of